Good morning and welcome to another week of the Oxford Exxon Podcast. Chase Parham, Neal, McCready, Clark Ford at studio here with you today. Spring football practice, at least the public media version, has concluded. The Grove Bowl on Saturday. We'll talk about all the great intricacies that came from that afternoon there at Vaught-Hemingway Stadium. Ole Miss baseball losing 2 out of 3 in Starkville for Super Bulldog weekend. They went on Friday, showed some life in doing so, and then frankly, blow a couple winnable games Saturday and Sunday, falling to 3-12 at the midway point. Number 1 LSU coming into town this weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, coinciding with the Morgan Wallen concerts that are happening Saturday and Sunday night there at Vaught-Hemingway Stadium. So that and much more coming today on the show. A show brought to you every single day by the Oxford Exxon Highway 6 West in Oxford. You know, lunch specials, they change every day. 2 sides bread, any size fountain drink, $5.69 for those. The Rebs, let them take care of dinner tonight, wet or dry. Call ahead. They'll wrap them up, have them ready to go and waiting on you. And if you're in Clinton, Mississippi, the donuts, they are there. They are made homemade every single morning. A lot of flavors, several different options available for you at the Clinton Blue Sky location if you like some donuts. And again, coming to you from the Clark Ford studio.
We are. Clark Ford is in Amory, Mississippi. 662-257-1900 is the number. Call it. Ask for our buddy Corey Clark. Tell Corey what Ford product you're looking for. He'll send you a quote within 15 minutes in business hours. It's right to the bottom line. There's no hassle. There's no haggle. You get your quote. The rest is completely up to you. You can shop it around. You can do what I've done, what I recommend that you do, and that's hop into a Clark Ford today. 662-257-1900. Guest will join on the myperfectfranchise.net hotline. If you're a displaced corporate executive or you're wanting to put your career in your own hands, maybe you're an experienced entrepreneur who's looking to diversify, Andy Ludicky can help. He owns multiple franchises and businesses and uses his expertise to help others find their American dream through a very thorough and free consultation process. So call Andy, put your life and your career in your own hands. It's 100% free, so what do you have to lose? Find your perfect franchise at myperfectfranchise.net. Contact Andy anytime at andy@myperfectfranchise.net or call 404-973-9901.
So, spring game on, first off, because we mentioned them last week, I actually stumbled upon this the other night, Mr. McCready. I don't know what night it was, maybe Friday, something like that. Vanderbilt bowling, we had mentioned last week. Yep. They won another national title to the point of even getting me to watch it on television for a minute. I stumbled across on Twitter. They were playing Arkansas State for the national title. And a couple people in my timeline have Arkansas State ties. They had tweeted out that they were one game from winning. It is apparently a best-of-7 series. Who knew?
Oh.
Did you know that?
I did not.
I did not know that.
No.
It is a best-of-7 series. And Arkansas State was up 3-2 at the time, and I watched Vanderbilt come back and tie it, and then I watched Vanderbilt win the national title. Again, their head coach is an Ole Miss grad. I think it's the 3rd championship for Vanderbilt bowling. So
good for them. Congratulations.
It was
to
a
the
little
Commodores.
anticlimactic because they clinched it during their portion of the 10th frame. Which meant even if Arkansas State had struck out, if you will, whatever that's called, I don't know. I don't know bowling parlance.
It's a turkey, right?
Well, that's 3 in a row. But what does it mean if you clear? Is it just a turkey, or what does it mean if you clear all 3 frames in the 10th?
I don't know.
I don't either.
A golden turkey?
Is it?
I don't know.
Climactic turkey. Yeah, it's Jenner's 3rd title since 2008, more rings than Corbin. So Vanderbilt bowling overtaking the Vanderbilt University campus at this point. But like I said, they clinched it prior to Arkansas State finishing. So you're over here waiting for Arkansas State to finish bowling to then run over and grab the trophy. It's a little bit of an awkward deal because it's over. I mean, the Arkansas State girl's like, okay, you're fine, whatever. I mean, this is not overly relevant at this point. So,
well, kudos to them. Way to go.
Chris saying, what is more important, a water ski championship or a bowling championship? Well, I mean, look, I will give this. The bowling was on ESPNU. The water skiing, to the best of my knowledge, has not been on ESPNU, but I could have missed it at some point.
Yeah, I don't know. I no longer get the ULM alumni newsletter.
You can get it back.
If I do, I think it goes to like an old email address.
I bet we can fix it for you.
Never...
I bet we could email some folks, get somebody on the horn. But we could solve that for you.
Probably could. Feels like a waste of effort.
Adam asking if you're going to throw on the Boston Marathon. I don't know that I want to watch a marathon on television. That's like at the end, if it's close, okay, but like mile 14,
So I started the Netflix documentary about the bombing, which was 10 years ago.
Was it really 10 years ago?
10 years ago.
I didn't know that.
And I was on the treadmill yesterday morning in Hattiesburg and watching that. And it's you forget. It's an absolute wonder more people weren't killed. That was scary.
Oh,
and so I mean, that's such a big day. I've never been, but it's such a big day in Boston. I mean, such a celebratory Patriots Day thing. It's such a part of their culture, and that was horrific.
I remember it. What was the association with the person that did it? Was that the manhunt where they found him later in like a boat?
Yeah.
Is that one?
Yeah.
Okay.
The fascinating part was that they carjacked this. I want to say he was from China. Maybe it was Korea.
Okay.
Asian guy who'd moved here, kind of chasing the American dream, and they carjack him, and they are headed to New York, and he says, "Only have a quarter tank of gas. We're going to have to. You're not going to get to New York on this quarter tank of gas." And while they're looking for a place to fill up, he says, "Are you guys going to kill me?" And they're like, "No, we're not going to kill you. We're going to just drop you off somewhere." But they had told him who they were. And he thought to himself, they're going to kill me. I'm never going to get to say goodbye to my family. And they stopped to fill up. And the young guy, spoiler alert, sorry.
It's been 10 years. It's okay.
The young guy of the two bombers, goes into the store to get something or pay or whatever. And while he's doing that, the older guy gets a little lax with his gun and sort of puts it out of his hand for a minute. And the Chinese, I want to say he was Chinese. If he was Japanese or Korean, I don't mean it as an insult. I just don't remember exactly. He says to himself, F it, I'm going for it. I'm going to make a run. And he says that he does this thing with the seatbelt and the door at the same time, knowing that his margin's really small. He goes, it's going to be really close. And he could feel the guy reaching for him with his right hand, the driver. But he gets out and he takes off.
He's in the front seat?
No, he was in the back.
He was in the back, okay.
On the right.
Okay.
He gets out and makes a run across the parking lot. You can see it on the surveillance. He makes a run across the parking lot, gets to another convenience store, gets in, and you can see the guy's like, I know I'm being stereotypical here, but it's kind of like an Indian sort of guy running the convenience store, and looks at him like, oh, God, I'm being, attacked or something. And he's trying to lock it. He goes, please help me. I need to call the police. And he tells the police, here's who had me. Here's what it was. And that was there. Without that tip.
They don't.
Without him making a run.
Yeah.
If they just fill up the car and head to New York, those guys, man, they could have gotten away for a long time. And they were dangerous. They'd killed a police officer already. They were going to kill that kid.
There's no doubt they were going to kill him.
There's no doubt they were going to kill him. They were going to drop him on the side of the road. And they were.
They kidnapped him for the car?
Yes, they carjacked him for his car.
Okay.
Yeah. And so that act of just sheer courage, bravery, or whatever. I mean, I don't know what choice you have, because, I mean, you're doing the calculus in your mind. Well, I can die trying to get away, or I can just die. Which do I pick? And he took him a minute, and he did the calculus. But sometimes you can get like paralysis by analysis, I would think, where you just are so scared that you freeze.
Or even almost believe them. Okay, just ride it out. Stay alive as long as possible and see what happens.
And he thought to himself, these guys, they've already shown they don't care about life. They've told me who they are. They're going to kill me.
Yeah.
I'm going to make a run for it right here. This was his one opportunity, because if he comes back, gets in the car, and they leave, his odds go down. But by him getting out, they knew what they were. They knew where they were, and then the manhunt started. That's where I left off. I'll pick back.
So, what's the documentary called?
It's on Netflix. It's Boston Marathon, whatever. I don't remember the exact title, but I don't think there's too many Boston Marathon documentaries freshly released on Netflix at the same time. I'm going to guess there's just
American Manhunt, the Boston Marathon bombing.
There you go.
There you go.
I wasn't trying to be
March
a smart
29th, 2023 debut.
Yeah. I wasn't trying to be a smart ass. I just don't remember the name.
Speaking of Patriots Day, as somebody said, that means you get early baseball if you want it. Red Sox Angels at 10:10 a.m. our time this morning.
Shohei early.
That's correct. Yes.
There you go.
If you care about that.
Every day's a Shohei day.
The Angels are 7-8. The Red Sox are 8-8. So Patriots Day there.
Don't you think Shohei probably saw the Cubs take 2 out of 3 from the Dodgers and said, "I want to be a part of that"? Don't you think?
When you care about him more than you care about your country. So I mean, I get it.
I do.
I mean, you're not going to once he signs with the Dodgers, but
no, I'll go back to
it's a temporary.
Yeah, my patriotism
adoration
will return. Yes, it's either temporary or it's going to be some kind of adoration.
Oh. Could get to a very obnoxious level quickly if that were to happen.
Someone said, "How many jerseys would you order?" I said, "How many they got?"
How many colors are available? What's your answer?
What are they wearing?
Because you're the Cubs, you've got to put out every alternate jersey known to man. Like if they have worn it ever, Ohtani gets a number.
That navy blue Wrigleyville jersey that I don't really like. Would you get it? Yes.
They wear that in games?
They wear it on Friday home games. Or
Really?
they did last year. I don't know if they did it this year. I can't remember. I didn't pay attention when they played the Rangers.
At least we'll give baseball this. They're pretty lax on letting you kind of wear whatever.
Yeah. The Dodgers wore a blue top.
I mean, the NFL's so
yesterday.
weird about that.
Yeah.
Approvals and years in advance and all that stuff. So,
I mean, not to get on this at all, but Major League Baseball's been more entertaining this year than
it has.
They give credit where it's due. They've figured out some things.
NHL playoffs start today. You got a team?
I'm saving that for 10 thoughts, which are going to be thrown together with remarkable pace this morning.
Expediency.
Yes, expediency.
Okay. Are you for the front runners? Spoiler that. Do you want to see greatness consolidated?
I think if you told me I could pick a team to win it, I'd pick the Oilers because I want to watch McDavid play.
Okay, fine. For the completely illiterate AHL, Connor McDavid, the best player in the NHL, he plays for the Edmonton Oilers.
I mean, some people think he's the best player
They are
ever.
the second betting favorite. The Boston Bruins just set the record for most points in a season. They are clearly the best team. The Avalanche, the defending champions, are actually the 1 seed on the other side. So they're there too. But most people are not picking the Avalanche. They're picking the Oilers or the Bruins at this point. So anyway, spring game, Saturday. Finished up. If somebody's asking, yes, I know there are practices remaining. Lane was asked about that. He said he technically has 3, but he said that's a very arbitrary number and that most coaches, frankly, use them simply because they feel like they have to use them. He said they would potentially do some walkthrough stuff, do some mental reps. He said they could all get together and whatnot, but he felt like at this point, given injuries, given where they are, there was no reason to have any more contact this spring or to do anything from a normal practice situation.
I have mad respect for that.
Well, it's that. I mean, and look, it's the overriding thing from that game on Saturday, and you knew it was coming. Lane took his little friendly, funny shot at Florida during their spring game the night before or whatever that was. He took a picture of his TV. It was 7-7 in like the fourth quarter or late third, where there'd been no points and no action. The most interesting thing from Florida's spring game was that the opening kickoff almost hit Anthony Richardson, and he caught it. Otherwise, not much there at all. Lane did not do that. It was 53-52. Ole Miss, the red team scoring on a 2-point conversion as time expired. Jackson Dart hitting Jordan Watkins for that after Fred McAfee had the touchdown to bring them within a point there at the end of regulation. Fred had a big day, by the way, and I mean I pulled for his dad for a long time. Played special teams for the Saints, so but here's at one point it's actually kind of funny. We're walking to the elevators because they said, "Hey, Lane's gonna be pretty quick here. Press conference is gonna start almost as soon as this game is over." By the way, like I don't even think he talked to the team. He ran straight to the media, got that out of the way. I mean, it was 5 minutes after game.
Were y'all
time.
on the field or what? Where?
No, that's what I'm saying. So we did the press conference in the grill, the 1810 grill.
Okay.
So they had to get us out of the press box down into the 1810 grill. Well, as everybody's aware, there's a construction situation going on, so we had to figure out how to navigate through some of the construction for the Manning Center. And they said, with about 2 minutes left, go ahead and go because Lane is coming. Like, he's going to be there.
Yeah.
And he was quickly.
Yeah.
And as we're getting on the elevator, you could hear through all the walkie-talkies and stuff, and everybody had to go, the head coach has requested that 7 points be added to the red team score. Red team 7+ points here. And then you have them like have to announce it over the PA, and it's like, okay, can we at least get the comedy of what is going on right now? But what Lane was doing was simply setting up a 1-possession game with 1 possession to go to give Jackson the ball and say, hey, go win the game here or whatnot. But both teams, per the book, were told run your base stuff, just vanilla. In all ways, the defense complied. The offense did not comply at times, to the point that Lane and I do think this is a bit of a mystery. So people have to also realize here, I got a point. Is Charlie and Pete were not calling most of this game.
Charlie Weiss and Pete Golden.
Yeah, at all. Mm-hmm.
The people who will call the normal games.
Yes, they pick coaches to call these games.
Yes.
It was not them. Lane's quote on Saturday was that they were looking through a straw, meaning they only cared about winning the Grove Bowl, not actually doing anything else. He said he would like some of those plays to have not been called offensively, but it's all right. It is what it is. The offense had a huge advantage that I'm wondering if Lane told the offense, no, you can score points, do some other stuff, or if they just broke protocol on their own. I don't know. It
probably
doesn't matter.
Some combination thereof.
Because he wanted points.
Yes.
The defense didn't. I mean, the defense can't touch the quarterback. They're running base with no blitzes, no exotic packages at all. And half the time they would touch the quarterback, and the quarterback still would run for 20 more yards before they'd blow the whistle. So there was stuff here, guys. Like it was whatever. So if you're looking at simply the stats, you go, okay, back off. It's at one point John Saunders, who had a hell of a day, by the way, he had 13.5 tackles and an interception on Saturday. I do think he's going to play well.
He is.
He's turned into a good safety for them. He was a corner when he came in from Miami, Ohio, but he's been switched to safety.
I wrote about him on Thursday, I think.
Yeah, that is correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, he admitted it. He goes, look, it was in a way, because you're competitive, it was frustrating, but at the end of the day, it was a spring game. So keep that in mind, and it's going to be all right. He was frustrated with some one-on-one coverages for some guys. He thought even inside the game plan as it was set up that Ole Miss's defensive backs, in his words, did a poor job, contested catches, some one-on-one situations from an offense-defense standpoint. But, look, this is a credit to Neal. I mean, to Lane. Neal said it before we started the show. He ran a Parham and Bailey day, basically, and it was fun. I mean, I looked over at multiple media members and went, if you'll just keep this in the context of made the Grove Bowl entertaining, make it the event that it is, because you're not solving any equations out there on this day. They stayed healthy, which is job one, because if somebody ends up carrying their leg off the field, nothing else that day was fun or mattered at all.
Absolutely.
They appeared to have got off injury-free. It was exactly what you would hope it to be. It was just sort of this football practice spectacle thing, and it was fine. It was. They threw the ball around. They caught the ball. You saw some individual players look pretty good in the process. Look, Spencer Sanders looked healthy. He looked really, really good on the deep ball.
I told you that I guess it was the last Saturday that they were going to be in the stadium, but it rained, and so they went out on the practice fields. He threw some deep balls that I was like, his shoulder feels better.
All three quarterbacks, Dart had probably had the worst day if you just graded strictly on the day, although Dart is, and this is very relevant, that I don't know was always pointed out, he is the only one who played exclusively against the first-team defense. Sanders played against all the backups, and Howard played on both teams. And Howard was really good on both teams. He had a hell of a day.
So we're still
Walker Howard was really, really good.
We're still where we were before practice 1, after practice 12, right?
Quarterbacks?
Yeah. I mean, we're still at this mystery with where do you go from here?
Jackson Dart has done absolutely nothing to lose the quarterback job. He committed 1 turnover the entire spring.
I know.
That's not going to lose you the gig when you're the incumbent. You wouldn't think.
I wouldn't think.
Sanders looked good. I think he would have looked even better had it been live, because I think he uses his feet in some different ways and does some things that even in this two-hand touch mode doesn't necessarily come out. But I was impressed with his throwing, really impressed with intermediate and deep stuff. And then with Howard, he's still swimming a little. It's year one in a system. It's all semester one in a system. It's all those things, but damn, you can see it. I mean, oh God, you can see it.
You can see why he was a 5-star that everybody recruited. No question.
There are throws he makes and ways he gets out of the pocket and extends plays that you don't teach that. You just have that or you don't.
No, he has arm talent that's not coachable. You can't coach a kid into being that talented with his arm. He's there's a lot there.
He's real.
There's a lot there. You can, again, I mean,
it won't be today, this year, but it's real.
Yeah, I think the people that are clamoring for him to get the job.
And Lane has kind of stopped that. And they went, hey, that's not.
Yeah, he's
okay.
But to get back to where we were before this started, he was told you're going to be the number 2 quarterback. And you're going to get number 2 reps.
Yeah.
And you can look at him and see why you would want to follow through with that promise.
That's
because
correct.
He's the guy of the future.
Yeah.
And so you got to figure out how you navigate 2023 with the other 2 guys.
Yeah. So we'll look at it.
Because if one of them gets the 1 reps and Howard gets the 2 reps, once the season starts, there are no 3 reps.
Yeah. You're not even wearing your number anymore.
So the question is there a way for Jackson Dart and Spencer Sanders to be happy when one's getting the 1 reps and one is pretending to be the quarterback at Tulane in week 2? And the answer to that question is no.
Yeah.
No is the answer. It's not a long answer. It's a very short. The answer's no.
Yeah.
So the people that want summer drama think you've got it.
Yeah, it's here. We'll talk about that in a second. First, tell you about the Ole Miss Athletics Foundation. We are the week of the Morgan Wallen concert. Is bringing his One Night at a Time tour to Vaught Hemingway Stadium, April 22nd and 23rd. Tickets for both are available. They start at just $78 to purchase. Visit morganwallen.com. And if you already have your ticket, make sure you purchase a parking pass. That's going to be very, very needed. Campus is going to be an absolute zoo over the next week. OleMissTix.com for the parking pass.
Walk On Sports Bistro puts everything they've got into bringing you game day with the taste of Louisiana. Dig into their mouth-watering, made-from-scratch Louisiana cuisine, po' boys, gumbo, voodoo shrimp, plus fan favorites like juicy burgers and fresh salads, all in front of 70-plus TVs, 40-plus ice-cold beers on tap. Check them out in Oxford or Ridgeland today. The College Corner is your one-stop Rebel Shop. 2 locations in the Jackson area. In Ridgeland, it's next to Fleet Feet. In Flowood, it's next to Half Shell. If you don't live in Jackson, it's okay. Go to collegecornerstore.com. Plus, you can find them on Facebook and Instagram. They have the largest selection of Rebel gear in Central Mississippi. We're brought to you by Comer Heating and Air, Southern Air Conditioning and Heating. Different names, same great products and services. If you live in Oxford, Tupelo, or the surrounding area, call Comer, 662-801-1777. If you live in Hernando, Memphis, or the surrounding area, call Southern, 662-429-4429. A-Stock is a Nashville-based online retail company with the mission to provide customers the power to name their price. All items start at just $1. That's right. Every item starts at just $1, no matter what the retail value may be. So shop now at astock.bid. That's ASTOCK.BID. Or download their app. Name your price on thousands of items from big-name retailers. A-Stock has multiple locations around Nashville as well as Memphis and Selma, Indiana. More coming soon that offer local pickups, so don't miss out. And we're brought to you by Solutions RX. It's a probiotic multivitamin supplement company created by Ole Miss Pharmacy alum Chris Cornelison. It's pharmaceutical grade, manufactured right here inside the U.S. under the highest standards. They're based out of Iuka, Mississippi. If you take diabetes, high blood pressure, or cholesterol medications, they typically cause side effects like muscle pain, brain fog, energy loss due to a depletion of minerals and vitamins in the body. But Chris formulated a product called Prescription Support, puts those vitamins back into your body to help with those side effects, helping you stay more compliant, taking your medications, and helping you stay healthier over the long term. It's available in local independent pharmacies across the continental U.S., including all across Mississippi, and on their website, solutionsrx.com. Just type in the promo code OEP at checkout and get 10% off your first order.
Podcast is brought to you by Prime Shrimp, primeshrimp.com. 7 different flavors available for you, delivered right there to your door. Fewer than 10 minutes freezer to plate, and you have dinner. They include the signature, the New Orleans style barbecue, 2 of my favorites, the full meals in a bag, the garlic herb butter, and the French Quarter Alfredo, and plenty more, including their 2-pound bags of individually frozen shrimp, lot like what's at the grocery store. It's a very higher quality shrimp from the New Orleans-based company. And speaking of New Orleans and all over the coast in Louisiana, they are now available in Rouse's markets. You can pick them up retail as well as, again, getting them shipped directly to you. When you get them shipped to you, use code RG. You buy 5 pouches or more, 25% off with, again, code RG and primeshrimp.com. So, I mean, individual performances, again, it was a practice. It was one of 12.
Yes.
Was that right? Because they didn't use the 15 or haven't used the 15.
You think if they lose a game somewhere in the season, someone's going to, if they just had those 3 practices, got a little more physical for a week.
What shows you, though, the answer is, I mean, sure, somebody somewhere, but to a relevant level, no. But yet coaches are cognizant of that.
Yeah.
It's so stupid.
It's one of the things I really like about Lane is he admits it out loud that, hey, the only reason everybody does 15 practices is because they're allotted and we've got people that are in the media that count them. That's the truth.
It's one of the reasons some of the schools that wanted the Las Vegas Bowl wanted it because it was so early. You go, I'm just going to get this done. Get out of here.
Let's go do it and get it over with.
Yeah. Individual performances, though, look, Chris Marshall really looked the part. Athletically, he can play. Ole Miss needs him to be that kind of guy this fall for them. Jordan Watkins looked very healthy. He looked the way you would hope that he looked as a guy that's going to give you something out of the slot. Judkins had 11 carries, 47 yards. They were careful with him, whatever. Bentley got some touches. I think he had 10 carries, and then they rode McAfee hard there in the second half once those guys were done.
So the takeaway from this is that McAfee will be the starting tailback. Is that correct?
Yes, he gets the annual Hiram White Award of players who show out in the spring game. Yes, no offense, Hiram. I just, for some reason, you're the one that always pops in my head.
I can't remember who it was. The reason I thought about this was I saw Ryan Hooker, the former Auburn player, at a soccer thing this weekend. It made me think about this from an Auburn. One of Tuberville's spring games at Auburn, some wide receiver caught a whole bunch of passes and stuff, and he sees us before we go into the interview thing to talk to the kid. He goes, "Hey, write about that kid." And I was like, "Why? Is there?" He goes, "Yeah, because today's the only day he's ever going to catch a ball on a college game. Write it." I was like, okay, fair enough.
Yeah. Jalen Knox has looked better. I mean, he's been healthy. You'll see what that translates to in the fall.
Just got to stay healthy into the fall.
It's just that's been the struggle. He has not been healthy in full strength at any point. I thought Joshua Harris was really disruptive and active on the defensive side. He's been good so far. And that doesn't, those guys have to prove it. I mean, you go into the portal and you get guys, and Ole Miss has seen booms and they've seen bust already in this portal era that's only into its second year. Or through 2 years, I guess, going into his third year. And just because a guy comes from a named program doesn't mean that he's going to play at some elite level. I feel like sometimes that has to be repeated a few times, is that most time when dudes leave, they leave for a reason. And
everyone's
you kind of have
portal.
to show it. It's not, you're not getting the number one dude who is on the top of the depth chart. And, that's very infrequently when that kind of guy leaves. Happens, but not often.
Everyone gets in the portal for a reason, and not all of those reasons are super positive. And so sometimes you've got to sort through that. That doesn't mean that a kid who gets in the portal for a negative reason can't be impactful somewhere else, but you do have to be aware of that.
Yeah. But I guess my point is Harris has really flashed so far. It's just spring, but he has looked good and a lot of work to this point defensively. Otherwise, like I said, Saunders had a big day, but defensively, A.J. Brown has played well. But I need him to go by a different name. But otherwise, they weren't running anything, so I don't know. And they weren't necessarily tackling to the ground all the time. So grains of salt and whatnot.
Well, they very clearly had a conversation throughout the spring of, hey guys, let's not hurt our own teammates. Let's get through this healthy.
Well, it's like I've been asked several times, hey, what do you evaluate from Golding? It's like, nothing. I don't know. You haven't seen his system. I have no way. His coaching style. We have seen him on the sidelines, but beyond that, I got nothing. I don't know. Tell you in fall.
Yeah. Ask me September the 16th-ish.
Yeah. Michael Trigg had a hell of a day. He is a problem in one-on-one matchups. We all know that. He had a huge spring last year, so does that translate this fall? I don't know. We'll see.
It could.
Lane did not appear to get frustrated with him at any point on Saturday. He caught 9 balls for 138 yards. He and Sanders blocked up a lot. I don't know. The one thing from a schematic standpoint, and it probably is not even something schematically, that we don't know what this will mean for the fall, but the running backs caught a lot of passes out of the backfield on Saturday. Again, does it matter? I don't know. Charlie wasn't calling the game, but two of the quarterbacks mentioned that was an extra wrinkle that they thought was a huge benefit to them on Saturday and in general. So we'll see if Bentley and Judkins, and if that's a little more of the offense as they move forward. I have no idea. But Ole Miss made kicks. Punting is not great right now. That's where I'm at. I don't know. If you have questions, feel free.
It's a very good breakdown.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. I don't know.
Look, it promises to be a very entertaining preseason camp. Because if the quarterback thing is unresolved, it gets real in August. Because in April, you can go, hey, we got lots of time. In August, you don't have lots of time. And how that gets resolved is interesting. And then, look, Quinshon Judkins is a potential Heisman candidate if they win enough games. They've got wild cards on the offense. You mentioned them just then. Jalen Knox, Chris Marshall,
Michael Trigg.
I mean, those are all dudes with huge ceilings. And frankly, they're guys with floors. And so,
Ulysses Bentley. And if you don't have him, who's your running back if it's not Riscano? I mean,
they went through the whole spring. Jeremy James didn't play. Jaden Williams didn't play. They'll both play. So the offensive line will look different. So they got some depth. Defensively, like you mentioned, they were in installation mode throughout the spring. They're going to add Suntarine Perkins, and there's a potential that he is super impactful right off the bat, and that would help because I think linebacker play is a question mark. The punter thing is, all jokes aside, is a legitimate issue. There's stuff. We'll see.
I'm assuming Caden Davis, the A&M transfer, kicks off.
That'd be my assumption.
You have Costa back at place kicker, obviously. And Davis has actually looked pretty good at place kicking, too.
It's a team that has a high ceiling, and it's a team because of its schedule that the floor is a little deeper than I think some people give it credit for. And so it promises, like most football seasons, to be very interesting. And here's the great thing when you have Kiffin as your coach, and you saw this on Saturday, and I mean this sincerely, it's going to be entertaining. And so that's fun. There's nothing boring about them. He doesn't want to be boring, and he takes a spring game where he knows, hey, look, I could easily milquetoast this, and nobody would say anything, but I'm not going to do it. I'm going to do this in a way where it's going to be crazy, and we're going to score tons of points, and it's going to be funny, and everybody's going to laugh about who's calling plays and whatever. But at the end of the day, it doesn't mean much. But it was entertaining, and prospects who were there had a good time. And if you watched it on TV, that was probably the most entertaining spring game that you'll see, because most coaches take spring games and go, people are watching. I must absolutely make this as boring as possible. I don't want to get anybody hurt. It's late. Let's get out of here. And it becomes a very regimented drudgery.
Well, I mean, look, it gave him plausible deniability, but it was also funny when he came in because he was asked to evaluate some different things from the day. And he goes, dude, I had a lot going on. He goes, I got 2 different headsets for 2 different teams. I've got the main headset that everybody's getting to listen to. And he goes, and I've got an ESPN headset over here too. He goes, I got to watch some film. I don't know. Like it. I mean, he pointed out, he literally, he goes, there was a lot going on. Like, I don't know. It was... Took a couple shots in there over the course of his day with ESPN. One regard
at Jimbo, right?
He did, yes. Chris Marshall caught a pass and did a little celebrating, and I don't know the exact quote, but Lane said something along the lines of, he comes from a program where you get to celebrate after every catch, but I need him to handball the official and so we can snap the next play. He did say that. So He goes, we're still working on it. uh, and he mentioned not everybody was happy with the quarterback room. He mentioned that I thought we're kind of burying the lead here a little bit. I thought that he was asked multiple questions about, again, and I think he handled them well. He was not in a bad mood. He was not upset. But I think he is getting somewhat tired of justifying his decision over the quarterbacks and the transfers and filling up the room as he did.
Why is anyone asking him to justify it anymore? He's already told you why he did it. Now, you can disagree with it. That's perfectly fine. And you can wonder, like I do, and
how it's going to play out.
And I don't think Lane, I've kind of gathered from the things that he said that he sort of understands why I said that.
Yeah, sure.
Which is, hey, how does this work? Like, but do I understand, hey, create competition and play the best guy? 1,000%. Now, do I look at it and go, I don't think you can keep all those cats happy into September?
Sure.
And listen, I'm pretty educated in saying this. I think one of the options that when they looked at doing this that they put on the table was, there's a chance one of the older guys leaves.
Mm-hmm.
And if the one that leaves, it's because he got beat out. And you have your quarterback of the future in Howard. And whether it's Dart or Sanders, I do think Howard is the quarterback of the future, which is the thing that's confusing about Dart.
Because he has a year left unless he really blows up and goes pro.
Sanders is not confusing. He's got one year,
season.
And then it's over. If he tries to come back and play another season, they're going to do the whole eligibility thing. And he doesn't. I'm kidding. With Dart, if you believe that Jackson has this monstrous season and goes to the NFL, okay.
That's seamless. Yeah, sure.
But what if he just has a good season?
Mm-hmm.
Not an NFL season.
But he's a really good, decorated, returning third-year starter.
Right. What if he has the season where the NFL says, hey, man, you're just – because don't forget, Jackson turns 20, okay?
Yeah.
I do this all the time because people make him in their minds older than he is. He turns 20 next month. So this time next year, carry the one, he won't be 21 until after next year's NFL draft. The odds of the NFL telling Jackson Dart, hey, dude, don't rush it, go back, are pretty strong. So what do you do in that scenario?
Have a guy coming back that's somewhat equivalent to Corral when he came back for his final season.
Yeah, and so I'm.
That gets funny.
That's where I kind of raise my hand and go, so how y'all going to do that?
That's tomorrow's problem.
Right.
Which is kind of what Lane said. I mean, Lane's point was, he goes two things. He goes, last time I checked in baseball, you don't just have one pitcher and you're good with one pitcher. It's not a fair comparison. But his point was, everybody's so caught up on the starter. And he goes, I get it. He goes, we're just trying to make the room deep. He goes, injuries. He goes, stuff happens.
Sure.
He's like, at the end of the day, if I don't have a guy to replace that guy, that's my fault.
Yeah.
So the job at the end of the day is not even necessarily about, he goes, everybody's so caught up on who's 1A. He goes, I'm just trying to fill the room with dudes who can play.
Yeah.
And then it works itself out however it works itself out at that point.
Oh, I think he's more than justified in what he did. And I think he can look at it on Saturday and go, see, it worked.
I mean, Alabama, last time I checked, signs 4-star quarterbacks every year. They figure it out.
Yeah.
I don't know. Dudes sit, dudes transfer.
Sure.
Somebody wins. It's where this thing is with the quarterback position in general.
And look,
because he could really use another freaking running back right now.
Yeah. I mean, if you told me that they all three stay, okay. How that all works out, I don't know. But 2 quarterbacks that were on scholarship left. One went to Illinois, and one, I believe, is going to Arkansas State. And so you replace 2 that left with 2 scholarship quarterbacks. Now, there's an NIL thing that we could talk about. We've talked about it some. If you have a lot of NIL money committed to 3 quarterbacks, and they do, if you keep that during the season, is it a fair, I don't know if it's criticism, is it a fair assertion to say, hey, you could have taken some of that NIL money for your third-team quarterback and put it on another running back, another wide receiver, another defensive end?
That's a salary cap question that's completely different.
And that's fair. You know, I mean, it's a fair thing. I think Lane would tell you that's fair.
Oh, 100%.
But, you know, they wanted Jackson Dart to get better. And listen, he did. I know Saturday he made some throws or whatnot. But if you talk to people around that program, the one thing that they all consistently say is that Jackson Dart got a lot better. And so for the people that only saw one spring game, and I'm not criticizing, but you saw one spring game that had all the caveats that we just talked about, and you make a firm, declarative judgment, a little foolish.
It's flimsy. Yeah, no. In a year, we might be doing the, hey, is it Jackson Dart is the third-year starter and a guy who had a hell of a 2022 and is coming back and he's got all this experience and this NFL buzz? Or is it Walker Howard who waited his turn? Maybe we're having that conversation, but that's a year away.
And it's possible that in a year, Jackson has a good season and that it's obvious that Walker Howard's the guy of the future. And Jackson could grad transfer and play right away at a number of places.
Oh, he could pick his school.
Almost pick a school.
Yeah.
And that's on the table. And Lane would tell you that.
Yeah, sure. He was not going to answer this, but just simply the last thing on this topic before we move on. Someone asked him about May portal needs, and he said that last time he checked, he was not going to answer that question in a press conference. He said that the problem with that is, he goes, you give a position, and suddenly every player and every parent who plays that position thinks their kid is terrible and is going to get passed over. And he goes, I've got phone calls. He goes, it's
not worth it.
No,
1,000%.
Not answering that.
Yeah. Tons of credit for the honest answer.
Yeah. He said that opens up more worms than he was willing to take on at that point.
But I think we can look at it and get an idea.
You know where they are.
I mean, they need another backup running back if they can find one.
They need a third scholarship running back that's not Riscano.
Yeah, because you don't know that he's coming in ready to go. Maybe he does, and if he does, awesome. Good
they need
for
defensive linemen.
They do. And if
they need a linebacker, if Centurion Perkins is not fantastic.
Bingo. If Perkins is awesome, you don't need another.
Yeah.
But what if he's not quite ready?
Yeah.
What if a kid, where do you play? Raleigh?
Yeah.
What if a kid who just hasn't seen this level of football?
Yeah.
What if it just takes him 4 or 5 weeks to kind of catch up to the speed? And it might.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean he won't be a superstar, because most people think he's going to be a superstar.
Yeah. But Mendenhall to Mississippi State's a jump. So it's
What if it takes a minute?
Yeah. Podcast brought to you in part by G&M Pharmacy, 662-236-2222. They deliver locally in the Oxford area, and they offer MedSync for your prescriptions the same day each month and take care of you. One trip to the pharmacy, one delivery. You have everything you need when you need it with G&M. Also, remember to transfer those medications. Again, one call, they take care of the rest. So whether it be Holly Springs and Tyson Drugs or G&M Pharmacy there in Oxford, again, 662-236-2222.
I'll have 10 weekend thoughts up later today. They're brought to you by Game Changer Patches, the only 2-patch system available in the market to stop hangovers before they start. The warm-up patch used before while you drink, the overtime patch used after you've been drinking to recover while you sleep. The all-natural ingredients will keep you in the game, ready for your next play. Go to GameChangerPatch.com, promo code RebelGrove20 at checkout. Get 20% off your purchase. ACS is owned by Clay McNutt, Baldwin, Mississippi. It's established in 2013. It's a complete electrical control system solution provider and a Rockwell Automation recognized system integrator. ACS has a full-time dedicated emergency service and troubleshooting staff and a UL 508A panel shop. Go to acsllcms.com or call 662-601-4381. We're brought to you by Lamons Fine Jewelry. Lamons, 1126 North Lamar Boulevard in Oxford. It's been serving the Oxford area for 3/4 of a century. Whether it's engagement rings, wedding rings, fine jewelry, watches, pearls, whatever the case may be, they can take care of all of your jewelry needs. They're the gold standard in fine jewelry. Visit them at lamonsfinejewelry.com or call them at 662-234-2777. Martin Palomo was here in the Clark Ford Studios on Friday. We taped A Mind on My Money. That's brought to you by Pinnacle. Pinnacle, based in Jackson, Mississippi. They've got clients in more than 20 states, advisors in multiple states. They provide detailed, specialized investment management, financial planning, retirement planning for individuals and businesses, and much, much more. Go to mypinwealth.com, MYPINN wealth.com to learn more. It's about time to get that summer vacation planned. If you are fortunate enough to be able to do that, get in touch with John Edwards in Regency Travel Incorporated in Memphis. John traveled the globe for 37 years before he got into the travel business. He knows the extra attention that's needed to make a special trip one that creates a lifetime of unique memories. Just get in touch with him, give him some parameters, give him a budget, and he will come up with options that you're just not going to find on your own. 901-494-3387, or send him an email at jedwards@regencytravel.net. And if you're coming up this weekend for the LSU series, coming up for the Morgan Wallen concert, or just coming up to hang out, visit Opa. It's Oxford's newest Greek restaurant on the square. It's a fantastic place to enjoy an evening. Fabulous food, great craft libations as well. It's Opa on the square in Oxford.
Podcast also brought to you by Johnson Hill Creamery, johnsonhillcreamery.com. And a little PSA here. They're in their final week at their current location. They're on White Oak Lane, just off Molly Bar. They're moving into Chicory Market next week. So be aware of that. You can check them out at Chicory next week. And in anticipation of that, they're taking part in the Oxford Community Market Spring Kickoff Party. That is April 18th. That's tomorrow on Tuesday, 3 to 6:30 at the Old Armory Pavilion. They're going to have some samples. They're going to have cheeses. They're going to be able to purchase some of their items as well. So come by, see them there on Tuesday, and be aware of the change. We'll bring more to you as the week goes on. That's johnsonhillcreamery.com, 662-419-9201. So get into Ole Miss and Mississippi State baseball in a second. Not going to break down the overall, the minutia of it. As I said, Ole Miss winning on 3-2 on Friday. They lose 8-7 on Saturday and lose 5-3 on Sunday. But the bigger program news, college baseball news, was the rule changes from the NCAA Division I Council last week, and it's pretty substantial on a number of levels. I wrote about it as the lead of my thing on Friday. It's worth reading. You'll get a little more context than I'll probably give you here. But
it was very informative.
Essentially, in the past, and I'll set it up for anybody who's not followed college baseball recruiting, is that because of years and decades of it being a, quote, gentleman's agreement where teams did not recruit kids who were committed to other schools, meaning I've heard coaches literally apologize to other coaches for recruiting a kid who they were not aware had committed.
I didn't know he committed to you in the sixth grade. My bad.
It was, and look, it's self-preservation for a long time because there are very few college baseball coaches, and if you are worried that your staff has to worry about that too, then you got way too much stuff going on your plate. So, but what that did over the years was mean, well, let's push for early and earlier commitments, because if we get these kids, we get them in the 8th grade, and then we've got them throughout high school because no one is doing that. That has started to change over the last few years. More money, more exposure. There's lots of reasons for why. I mean, very obvious human reasons on why
the sport has grown.
Yes, the sport has become more mainstream, and in doing so, the recruiting has become more mainstream.
Yeah.
So, and this is fairly intricate. It'll take a second, but Ole Miss, like right now, they have an 8th grader committed, they have 2 freshmen committed, and they have 8 sophomores committed. The new rules, and that's pretty standard. I think LSU has 7 8th graders committed, if I have that right.
Wow.
It might be freshmen, but for some reason I thought it was 8th graders. Anyway, the new rule says that there can be 0 contact with a college baseball prospect, with a recruit, prior to August of their junior year. Okay. Meaning the first month of their junior year. There's been some questions about that. Now, here is one thing. I hate that date. I want it to be May, because you're not giving these college coaches the ability to recruit during a summer, because most of these kids are going to commit prior to the summer before their senior year. Now, they don't have to, and maybe it does run into that summer, and maybe that's what we're going to see is even another change. But I really would have liked May to give that summer circuit an opportunity to be recruited at that point. But either way, no contact, no phone calls, nothing. Cannot offer them a scholarship prior to either August or September of that year. I forget which one. And even if they see them at camp, because they will do that, the kids will come to camps and things along those lines, they have to be very careful, at least by the book, the way that those relationships and those interactions are. It's even retroactive, meaning kids who are committed to Ole Miss that are younger than that date, Ole Miss cannot have contact with them prior to that date, even though they are currently committed. A little bit of a weird deal there. But here's what it is. You're
committed to play for me, and yet I can't
talk to you. I can't
speak to you.
That is correct.
Can you talk to a parent?
I do not believe so.
Okay.
I have not read the minutia, but that was my interpretation, was no. So it does a couple things. One is, this is great news for time management and quality of life for college baseball staffs, because in the past, think about this. You're talking about 3 assistants, your ops people, a head coach, who have been dealing with your current roster, leaving, not leaving for Major League Draft, the JUCO, at least 2 JUCO classes that you are contemplating bringing kids in from, the transfer portal class in and out, seniors, juniors, sophomores, freshmen, 8th graders. Frankly, and that even runs into 7th graders, if we're being really, really honest, as far as phone calls for things that could turn into 8th grade. I had one non-Ole Miss coach go, just thank God I never have to answer an 8th grade phone call again.
How's your acne treatment coming along?
So,
how are your braces?
It's all those things. But here's what it really is. That's
shaved
where yet? That's sort of where all the purists stopped with the analysis on Friday. It's the acknowledgement that college baseball is becoming the other sports, even though it is not full scholarship equivalent.
For some of those people, that's going to be a struggle.
Because here's the deal, and here's what was happening. When you lock that kid in as a sophomore, you feel, or a freshman or an 8th grader, you feel an obligation to him because you kept him from being recruited by other schools the entire high school career. Mm-hmm. So when you bring him in, you're going, I need to give this kid a chance. And maybe he didn't hit puberty right. Maybe he has not developed correctly. Maybe you've got dead weight and you kind of know it, but you hang on to it because you're a good dude and you screwed him over in a way that was not necessarily your fault.
Yeah.
Well, now you're going to know much more about what a kid is when he turns 16, 17 than when he's 13 or 14. Duh.
But it's just...
You can evaluate so much cleaner.
Yes.
Because here's the deal. You can't bring dead weight in anymore. You can't do it. You don't have room. You don't have ability to develop. I mean, you have to recruit a completely different way now. It also allows the kids to be able to look at their options better and not have to go through the public process of decommitting, which sucks for everybody.
Yes.
Not make the kid have to call the coach and go, hey, sorry, I know you've been with you for 3 years, but I need to look around. Because for the kids, they couldn't legitimately know what a baseball program was going to be in 60 months. Now they have to figure out what the program is going to be in 12 to 18 months.
I mean, there are exceptions where a kid grew up a giant Auburn fan.
Well, yeah, sure.
And he was going to go to Auburn no matter what happened, no matter what. But most kids aren't that way. And so when you're making an 8th grader pick a college when he hasn't even started high school yet, it's anyone who's been around 8th grade kids. I'm not talking about the diehard fan that would go to Ole Miss no matter what. Okay?
Yeah.
I'm talking about most
DK
kids.
Metcalf committed in the 8th grade. Okay. We get it.
But most kids are making a sports decision that is also a school decision.
Yeah, 100%.
And you don't really know from the past, like, well, what's the scholarship situation going to be at that time? What's the situation going to be with the coaching staff? There's so much there that you couldn't do. And then on the flip side, and I've heard Carl kind of reference this casually, not every 8th grader who's a stud is the best player as a junior.
No.
And not every 8th grader who's not very good yet doesn't have a growth spurt, fill in, find some things, and become a really better player as a junior. I just think this is smart across the board. And with the portal now, you don't take the high school kid unless you know he's ready to play.
Yeah, because otherwise you're eating up scholarship money I could use on this other cat over here that plays for Middle Tennessee.
And you're still dealing with the Major League Draft.
You are.
Where you can over-recruit. You recruit this stud from wherever.
Jackson Ferris last year. You thought you had a dude and he blew up.
And the Chicago Cubs fell in love with him and said, we will pay you a lot of slot money, to the point where the kid goes, I got to take this.
Yeah, sure. It's changed everything. So this helps the coaches. It lets them just recruit much more present. It helps the kids. It keeps the kids from bad decisions too. I mean, there's some protection here that's not even obvious for the kids that go, hey, I got really enamored with Tony Vitello as a freshman, but by the time I'm a junior, that it doesn't fit.
Not
it doesn't
so enamored
fit me
anymore.
It doesn't make sense anymore.
Yeah, of course.
Well,
it just stands to reason, right, that a high school junior can make a better decision about college than an 8th grader.
Yeah.
I mean, frankly, kudos to everybody for admitting, hey, we've outgrown our old rules.
Yeah.
Let's put some new ones in place that make sense.
Because without this, schools were going to be constantly negative recruiting each other because they were cutting a bunch of kids who had been committed to them for 24 to 36 months. That's what was about to happen. Because look, it's Ole Miss's, and this segues into the state thing for the weekend. I wrote this on the board last night, and it's not time yet, so I'll hit this a lot more in detail because the season's not over. I mean, still 5 more weekends of the regular season left.
Sure.
15 SEC games. Is you have these bad years, and Ole Miss is certainly on the path to one right now. Other teams have had them in the past.
Yeah.
Most have, actually. It's what's almost kind of odd because Mike never has. You have to learn something. You have to figure out what the lesson is that makes you not repeat it. And for Ole Miss, it's probably be a little less nice. And I know that's a weird thing. Mike probably struggles with that. He's at the end of the day, he's a good dude.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't like cutting kids. Doesn't like not giving them a lot of chances. Doesn't like taking them out of the roles that he thinks they can eventually be in, even on the current team.
He's a high integrity guy.
Yeah, and I think it's going to have to be more of, hey, you just got to get it. There's never enough. That's what I wrote last night, was there's never enough. I think they looked at the profile of their season and went, okay, got Elliott. I got what has traditionally been the ace, and then I got this Saturday guy who's going to throw strikes and eat innings, and you got this guy on Sunday that's going to do this and whatever, and that's the way it works. And the portal has changed that. It's now there are super teams. Now there are prospects every damn where. You just get as much as you freaking can get.
Yeah.
Which gets into an NIL conversation we'll have later. I'm not doing it today. But that's...
I know the conversation.
Yeah.
And we'll get to it another day, but it is a fascinating conversation because I think the answer to the question that you posed on the board is no. That's what I think. I think the answer is no. And the question, for those who don't know, is can you
do
fully fund, from an NIL perspective,
3 sports?
Football, men's basketball, and baseball.
If they're all nationally competitive.
And I think the answer is no. And maybe I'm wrong.
And they obviously need different amounts, but yes. Or baseball needs a different amount.
The economy has changed in the last 24 months. That's not a political statement. That's a factual statement. The economy has changed.
Yeah.
Interest rates are up. Things are different.
Yeah, sure.
And so coming up with that kind of money across the board is hard to do.
Yeah.
Consistently.
So that's the rules. We'll talk about, again, the other stuff. We have plenty of time. We have a summer to kill. Potentially one that starts June 1st. Over the weekend, it was just more of the same. I mean, that's really where to break this down. It was a very sweepable series, and Ole Miss lost 2 out of 3. I mean, that's when you look at it, if you're a good baseball team that's playing good baseball, you win all 3 in Starkville over the weekend. They win on Friday night. They play well. Jack Doherty gives them an ace of a performance. He was fantastic. Mitch Morrell was terrific out of the bullpen. They did everything correct. The experienced guys really showed up. Gonzalez, by the way, Jacob Gonzalez is having one hell of a year, and we're not talking about it enough because of their season.
He's having his best season.
He's phenomenal right now. He is a professional hitter playing college baseball right now. I mean, he had doubles in 3 straight at bats and reached 6 straight times over 2 games they lost over the weekend. I mean, he's doing all he can do. Kemp Alderman is playing well. Calvin Harris is hitting the hell out of the baseball right now. That's the thing. This offense is not very good, despite having 3 players who very likely could be all SEC. 1/3 of their lineup could be all SEC, and the offense is just not doing enough. Starting pitching was pretty good over the weekend, frankly. They got a great outing out of Doherty. Rivas was good enough. JT Quinn has been solid 3 weeks in a row and can't get any run support to win a baseball game. On Sundays, where the offense has got to just go win a baseball game.
Yeah.
I mean, Quinn, or the Ole Miss pitching staff, they gave up 5 runs off 2 home runs. They had a 3-run homer. They had a 2-run homer. That's all State did on offense, but they won the game. Ole Miss came into the weekend next to last in the SEC in hitting with runners in scoring position. They came in second and third to last or second to last in advancement opportunities offensively. It's where you get when you're 3-12. It's not one thing. It's there being one thing every day that is keeping you from winning. If it is not the lineup not hitting, it is the fact that they really are struggling on the back end of the bullpen to get those final 6 outs. Morrell did a hell of a job multiple times over the weekend, but they don't have enough back there. They lose on Saturday after they came back on the top of the ninth, put up runs, got the lead.
That was the killer.
You walked 3 in the ninth. You gave them the runs, essentially, with the walks. Dakota Jordan gets the hit, but you set that up.
You're up 2 runs going. Were they up 2 runs? Or up 1 run?
They're up 1 run.
You just can't walk the leadoff man.
Nichols walks the leadoff man. They go to Takoyan, but at that point, you're bringing the freshman in with a runner already on base in front of literally the largest crowd in NCAA history. It just Because if you're going to bring Takoya in, bring him in to start the inning.
Clean.
Give him the clean inning. Like Nichols has really struggled in successive innings throughout the season. It's just where it is. There's not much clear answers. I know the question all week is going to be about Hunter Elliott. I expect him to pitch this weekend, I guess. I've heard no negative updates on him. I would be very surprised if he throws more than 40 pitches. Kind of my gut. I haven't even asked anybody, but that's sort of where I feel as of this morning. I would not expect you to extend him. We mentioned it last week. Mississippi State had a similar situation with Cade Smith, their Friday night guy. He threw 32 pitches, 42 pitches, and then he threw 60-something against Ole Miss in week 3 from coming back. State goes to 5-10. They've won 2 straight series. They at least have a pulse, I guess.
It's about as far as I'd go.
Because they're not very good.
They're not very good.
They're not good. I mean, that's the thing, is you played a team that is not good. I mean, you watch State and you go, it's nothing that.
No, compared to other teams in the league, there's nothing special about them. I'll give them credit. They could have just rolled over and died a couple weeks ago, and they haven't. It's to their credit, but
sure.
No. They don't.
A typical SEC team wins that series.
Well, look, Ole Miss is 3-12. It's the worst record in the SEC, and at this point, it's not an accident. You lose a lot of kind of close games the same way, and at some point, that's kind of who you are.
Yeah. They got very fortunate by injuries a year ago, and they got completely bitten by them this year.
Yeah.
It typically averages out. And it's just part of baseball.
But they are wasting some offensive outings. They really are. They are wasting some seasons.
But they're not getting enough 1 through 9.
No. Well, 5 through 9 has been inconsistent.
The bottom of the order has really struggled. They had 5 hits on Saturday, I think, but that's the only game that they've been consistently. I mean, Peyton, God love him, he came into the week hitting .065 in SEC play.
Ooh.
Now, he had some hits over the weekend, but he came in .065 for the weekend.
Well, they had some chances on Saturday. It's so easy to talk about the bottom of the ninth because that's what you remember, and it's the bottom of the ninth. But they had some chances to make that a 4, a 5, a 6-run game. You know, and they didn't lose the game in the bottom of the ninth. It finished in the bottom of the ninth, but they set up the ability to lose the game throughout the game.
They don't get the double in the gap that runs it up and State quits and you've won the game. I mean, yesterday, they score in the 6th, they tie it in the 7th, and they have bases loaded and 1 out. You do anything right there, you grab the lead in the 7th, that's going to help your bullpen. They're going to pitch with more confidence and less pressure, and Clarko rolls into a double play. Innings over, you're 3-3 instead of 4-3, 5-3, 6-3.
Yeah, that was big.
You add on and you go. So, yeah, it's bad situational baseball.
So at the risk of people yelling at me, is there a mathematical equation at this point that gets them there? Or is the math pretty?
I think it's 13. I think 13 would get you in. I say that for 2 reasons.
13 wins.
In the SEC. I think you would get benefit of the doubt for last season. And I think you would have the argument, because that would take a 10-5 run. The argument would be that this is the team we are with Elliott back. We went 10-5 with our pitcher healthy. This is who we are. We won the national title last year. Put us in the tournament. We have the best shortstop in the country. Come on.
So 5 weekends left. Can you see a path to 10 wins? Got LSU.
Well, the easiest. I know this is a duh, but let's do it this way.
Okay, sure.
You win every series 2-1. You went 10-5.
Sure.
Don't yell at me.
I'm not yelling. I'm
the
one that asked the question.
Path. Lose the series to LSU,
but get 1.
Get 1.
Okay.
Sweep someone and go 2-1 the rest of the way.
Okay. And the other series are Georgia, Auburn, Alabama, and
Missouri.
Missouri.
No, the schedule's not bad.
Yeah, so those teams.
It's just hard to sweep teams.
The teams that are left, LSU's 9-5 in the league. Alabama, and this is not in order. I think Georgia's after that.
Georgia's after LSU.
Okay, Georgia's 4-11.
Double-decker weekend at home.
That's
the best opportunity.
Alabama's 6-9 in the league. Auburn is 5-10 in the league. And who did we say the other one was?
It's
Missouri.
Auburn, Alabama, Missouri, Georgia.
Missouri's 5-10 in the league. So you have 2 5-10 teams, a 4-11 team, a 6-9 team, and LSU.
Yes. Get 1, find a sweep, because you can't get you're not getting in at 12.
They got to get to 13.
And I don't think Hoover matters. It just has shown nothing of mattering.
After last year and Hoover, if I'm one of these teams up at the top, if I'm Vanderbilt, if I'm Florida, if I'm South Carolina, if I'm Arkansas,
You're
LSU.
throwing me. Yeah.
And I'm throwing you, but only if you promise to throw right-handed.
Yeah. I mean, we're out.
I'm getting out of here. I don't want somebody sliding into first base trying to beat something out on Saturday and breaks his hand. Nope. Let's get the hell out.
There have been some teams getting in at 13 and 17. No team has ever gotten in at 12 and 18. For some, I don't know who it was, and I'm sure they had a hell of an RPI that Ole Miss is not going to have. I feel like someone got in at 12, 17, and 1, or had a rain out. So 12 and 17, but it's 13. I do think 13 gets them in. I think it's close.
I do too.
But I think 13 would get you in. They haven't really. I know they lost to Memphis last week. They haven't sucked in the non-con. They've been okay.
I don't think that matters.
Well, you can't lose all of them.
Right.
They have a respectable record that would get them in.
But to your point, they've been fine in the non-con.
Yeah, I think 13's the number, and that's where it is. Now,
they won the Big 12 in the Big 10. And
they would still be really good in the Big 10. UCLA is going to wreck the Big 10 in baseball.
Yes.
I mean, they are just going to run through the Big 10 in baseball whenever this gets there. So, yeah, mathematically, sure. I mean, that's what Mike should tell his team today is, look, guys, here. I mean, it's isn't complicated. I mean, but this team has to sweep someone. And to sweep someone, you have to play really good baseball. Florida didn't sweep Georgia last weekend. Georgia had a kid hit 3 home runs, including a grand slam, to win a game against Florida.
So hard to
and they're
sweep.
giving away so many games.
I mean, if you watch around the SEC, there just aren't many sweeps.
Ole Miss gave away the Florida game. They had a 3-run lead in the 8th. They gave away a Texas A&M game where you had a 3-run lead and got into their bullpen in the 3rd inning and lost the game.
Could have easily won 2 out of 3 against Arkansas.
And then against Mississippi State.
Yeah.
What it was. So, anyway. Podcast brought to you in part by Northeast Spark, NESPARC, service people across rural communities. 2 packages, the 100 Mbps or the Blaze, the 1 gig that powers the Clark Ford studio. Your hometown team bringing you world-class broadband, nespark.com, 662-238-3159, phone service, parental controls, network security, a wireless mesh extender, and much more. So, again, call the office for details. That's 662-238-3159.
I'll have a mailbag up on Wednesday that's brought to you by Whitney McNutt of Tommy Morgan Incorporated Realtors, serving you for all of your real estate needs in Oxford and Tupelo. Whitney sells condos, land, commercial, and residential family homes. And you can reach her at 662-567-2573 or 662-842-3844. Brought to you by Service Specialist Staffing and Recruiting Agency. They've been connecting great job opportunities to candidates since 1967. If you're on the job hunt, whether you're seeking an entry-level position or you're a seasoned professional, they have opportunities across the board: IT, engineering, dentistry, accounting, law, manufacturing, human resources, and more. They just get to know you. They know your strengths, and they'll help you find your next career move. It's always free for the candidates. Conversations are always kept confidential, so you've got nothing to lose by giving them a call. It's 662-832-5138, or check out their site, servicespecialistltd.com. Get the beautiful and healthy smile you deserve at Corinth Dental. Dr. Bubba McQueen, Dr. Jenny Beth Hendrick are devoted to restoring and enhancing the natural beauty of your smile using conservative, state-of-the-art procedures that will result in a beautiful, long-lasting smile. From routine checkups to advanced treatment, including implants and Invisalign, Corinth Dental is here for you to help you achieve your smile goals. Schedule your appointment today and take the first step towards a better version of yourself. CorinthDental.com. And we're brought to you by Southern Traditions Farm. It's a 68-acre, 32-stall, upscale equestrian training and boarding facility in Canton, Mississippi. 2 sand rings, a grass ring, miles of wooded trails, so much offered at Southern Traditions. Horseback riding offerings from beginner lessons to advanced competitions. Just get in touch with the people there at Southern Traditions Farm on Facebook or Instagram at Southern Traditions Farm.
So I guess because they're actually on the verge of promotion, it made me look at it. I went back and watched a couple of the first episodes, and I know I'm way behind. I get it, but the Welcome to Wrexham, it was pretty well done.
Yeah, Carson raves about that show. I've not watched it yet.
Yeah, I mean, it's pop culture out there for anybody, but the team that in Wales that Ryan Reynolds and Ron McElhenney bought, and they're, I guess, in their 2nd season now, something like that. They are close to promotion into the higher levels. I'm not going through European soccer level rules for you, but essentially into a much better place for them. The goal that they had coming in, which they're hoping to continue to progress, obviously. But and it looks like they can. I actually kind of got down a deep dive of them yesterday. It looks like teams who have been promoted into the next level have done a great job of getting into that next level very quickly. It looks like the talent is better than you think when it comes up. But there was an FX documentary that's available on Hulu streaming that follows their journey. There's a season 2 in the works right now. Season 1 had, I think, 18 episodes, something like that. And I watched 2 or 3 just to kind of get acclimated to it and see if it was something that I would stay with and be interested in. And it's I know it's not a shock because of who's involved, but it's really, really well done. It's engaging.
Yeah, I've heard it's terrific.
They give you a lot of sense of the town and the people involved, and it's good. It's really well done. So if anybody would like to catch up on that, you can be at a good time to do that because they're currently leading the table in their league by 1 point, but they also have one more match remaining than the team that is second. Only one team though goes through out of the regular season. They have a playoff for one team to advance in places 2 through 6 going into a playoff. So it's very, very, very close, but they are 2 wins away. They have games on, I think, the 18th and the 22nd, and if they win both those, they would be mathematically eligible for promotion at that point. So anyway.
The environment at a place like that for a game like that would be so intense because it just means so much.
Well, I mean, I'll move on.
It just means more, in fact.
It does. Yes. Where's the girl on the beach with the look? They got a red card to one of their better players in their last match. Played a playoff contender. Played a pretty good team in their league. And ended up in a 0-0 draw. So I got a point, but like Reynolds went after the goalie in the media, or there was several news stories of how it got pretty heated, even with Ryan Reynolds and somebody for the other team. I forget who it was, but they're all in. I mean, obviously they're making a buck and doing a hell of a job from a marketing and in a publicity standpoint, but you've also got to really care about that project or it doesn't work.
Of course.
And they have done apparently, from what little I know, have done one hell of a job putting that place on the map.
Absolutely.
It's the 3rd oldest football club in Wales, and basically what they do, or maybe whatever. And this makes sense to me, though. They picked the place that has won before. Now, look, they've sucked. So, like, they showed the EPL pyramid, or whatever you call it, European football pyramid, and it's the very last professional level. I mean, there are literally like 5 levels between EPL and them. Like, I mean, I think their goal is to get into the Championship League one day, which is one below the EPL.
Right.
That's like their
ceiling.
I mean,
realistically.
Yeah. But the point is, none of these teams they're competing against have any money. So it makes sense to them and everybody else. If you just funneled so much more money than everybody else has, you're going to become the Yankees and be able to get the hell out of that league.
Yeah.
Because you'll just be able to get better players. Because even the first couple episodes were interesting, and I know I'm talking about something that's 18 months old or whatever it is, were interesting because they highlighted the players and the manager of this team that they're not making much money. They're making like 35, 40 grand a year. They're just working class soccer players. And they're really, really happy that these 2 people have bought this club, but they also know that, hey, they're getting better players than us if we don't win. Like, and Rob McElhenney says this in the documentary. He goes, well, I mean, you can't argue with people who are winning, but otherwise, that's it. I mean, we got to retool this roster. We got to rebuild. We got to figure it out. So it's even for somebody who doesn't watch European soccer at all, it's interesting. It really is. It was pretty good.
European soccer is interesting.
The relegation promotion thing is really fascinating.
It just is. Yeah, it's then like the Champions League games and stuff when you see.
Well, we would never do it, but I mean, think of that. There's this game in September, and it's like, hey, if the Orioles don't beat the D-Rays, they're going to be playing the Columbus Clippers next year.
I know. I mean, it'd be a game changer. Well, a lot of people believe that for professional soccer to take off on American soil, they have to go to a system that's like that.
Oh, really?
Where you're not guaranteed to be in MLS. You might get put in.
Because it creates laziness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, where you make more, it makes more games more meaningful.
I get it.
I mean, I
No,
understand.
it's their culture. That's all they've known. That's not how we're programmed.
But the reason that the sport has grown here is because people can now watch the sport there. And that's what makes it good there, like where you are on the table and all that stuff. And if you don't have that here, people are like, well, this isn't as good. And then the flip side is, well, that's just not how American sports work. Until someone goes, well, let's give it a go.
Yeah.
You know?
We'll hit it more tomorrow 'cause we have plenty of time here. But give me some odds. There was a lot of havoc in the NBA playoffs yesterday.
Injuries.
You had the Nuggets knock off the Wolves. They need to like poke it with a stick. Minnesota's done, but
Denver's good. Denver's healthy.
That was a wrecking. But
Jamal Murray is healthy. Michael Porter Jr. is healthy. Nikola Jokic is an elite superstar. That is a really good team. People count them out for whatever reason. I'm telling you, they're a title contender.
But Clippers going to Phoenix, win 115-110.
Yeah, that was a weird moment for Phoenix.
Miami, Giannis gets hurt. He's got a back issue. They'll see what he's got for game 2. Heat wins 113-117, although Hero's broken his hand. So even though they're up 1-0.
They don't have enough now.
And then LeBron gets a ton of help. Ja's banged up. He's got a hand injury. He's, quote, in jeopardy for game 2 is the quote. And the Lakers kind of wrecked the Grizzlies in the second half, win 128-112. Where are we at on the
panic scale?
Yeah, for these 3 teams.
All right. Which one do you want to start with first?
Memphis
is on a scale of 1 to 10. Their panic scale's an 8 or a 9.
Because if Ja's out, they're beat.
They're done. That was a 1-possession game when he went out.
Frankly, they're beat if he can't play in game 2 because I don't see them winning 4 of the next 6.
Be extremely difficult.
Yeah. Is it a 4x7 or a 3x5?
Yeah.
Okay.
4. NBA's all 4.
Okay, gotcha.
We talked about this a little bit. We didn't do much because we try to be careful with NBA, but if you're still with us an hour and whatever it is.
Yeah, you're just hanging out.
You're hanging out, so welcome. The Lakers, when they're not, don't get me wrong, I'm a LeBron James is phenomenal guy, and I think his resume backs that up. He's played 3.5 seasons of playoff games in his life. 240-something games or 260-something games, whatever. Dude's amazing. But he's at a point where if you ask him, hey, carry us night after night after night, he can't do it. Or if he tries to do it, it doesn't work. Anthony Davis is healthy and playing healthy. D'Angelo Russell was such a huge pickup for them. He's not an elite point guard, but he's good, and he fits them. And they're getting play from Austin Reeves that nobody talks about. Hillbilly Kobe, for those who don't know, kid from rural Arkansas who both of his parents went to Arkansas State.
Oh.
Arkansas State didn't offer him.
Really?
He ended up starting out at like some small, weird school, and then he ended up at Oklahoma.
Okay.
Lon Kruger pulled him to the side and said, hey, you're an NBA player. And he is. I mean, Austin Reeves has been terrific for the Lakers. And because of the depth that they've started to build, I know they're a 7 seed, but they're dangerous. So for Memphis, the panic is really high. For Milwaukee, the panic is not particularly high. It would be if Tyler Herro were healthy, but he's out 6 weeks with a broken wrist.
Now, if Giannis is not 100%, they're not winning the East. If you want to go bigger picture.
Yeah, the deal with Giannis is they can survive this series against Miami and try to get him healthy. But yeah, it gets squirrely after that because the Sixers and the Celtics, like, I don't know how much you saw. You didn't because you were working. What the Celtics did to the Hawks in game 1 should send shivers down people's spine.
Yeah.
The Celtics looked scared.
And then I think no one will be upset if the Clippers did hold off Phoenix, but Clippers 115-110 over the Suns.
Look, it's easy to do this, but the last 3 minutes of that game last night was about Russell Westbrook's will. He took a lot of heat for what happened with the Lakers. He took a lot of heat for what happened in Houston and stuff like that. He's still a really good, interestingly, he's still a really good defensive player when he wants to be. And that play that he made at the end of the game last night against Devin Booker was a pretty big moment. And if you're Phoenix, where everybody kind of plays pretty well, Durant played well, and Ayton played well, and Chris Paul played well, and Devin Booker played well, and you still lose to a Clippers team at home, a Clippers team that didn't have Paul George. It's kind of a sobering moment for you if you're Phoenix.
Yeah, Westbrook gives them 11 boards and 8 assists, and he was 3 for 19 from the field, but gave him some secondary stuff there last night in that one. Yeah, look, Denver's going to win. And then tonight, 6:30, Brooklyn at Philadelphia. Sixers up 1-0 in that series against
it's going to be a short series
against the Nets. And then Sacramento 1-0 against Golden State in Sacramento, 9 o'clock tonight for that one.
Okay, so game 1 of that series was Saturday night.
Mm-hmm.
And inject that straight into my veins and give me 7 of those.
With Sacramento winning.
Preferably with Sacramento advancing.
Yes.
But that was awesome. That was so fun.
Well, they're the most underrated 3 seed in NBA history. No one's giving them any shot.
And it makes me wonder, do those people not watch the
sport?
They
wear kings across their jersey.
Yeah, I get it.
That's all that matters. Well, they wear kings across their jersey. If the exact same season, exact same roster, and they had Warriors across their jersey, they would be picked to win.
De'Aaron Fox is a bad boy. I mean, there's not much he can't do. And that was his first playoff game, and he just delivered. That was clutch. And Sabonis is a terrific player. They've got a deep roster. They've got a bunch of guys who can shoot. Mike Brown's done a phenomenal job. And I've never been to Sacramento. I've never been to that arena, but you watch it on television, and it is intimidating. And that was their first playoff game in 17 years.
Yeah.
And that place was rowdy. That tonight, I wish they'd move that game up 2 hours because I would be glued. But it was fantastic basketball. That game 1 of that series was just sign me up. That was awesome. Klay Thompson, and there for me, it's hard to watch the Warriors in a postseason because every time Klay Thompson makes a shot, I'm like, oh,
yeah,
I feel this.
I've seen that before.
I feel this like cutting.
Yeah. Last thing here, just because it's kind of random because of the time it happened. Non-life threatening. He's going to be okay. But Ohio State offensive coordinator Brian Hartline hospitalized after an ATV crash on his own property, side by side. 1:20 a.m. is when the crash happened.
Oh,
the day after Ohio State spring game. So, anyway, yeah,
might have had a couple.
I mean, that would be my. He made me speculate. That would be the speculation that I think would come out there. So, Braves 12-4. We close. They're off to a good start.
They're really good.
Ole Miss away in the midweek. They are at Arkansas State tomorrow for a game in Jonesboro. You'll notice a schedule change there. Typically, that's always at the end of the year, but after the thing last year, they've moved that earlier in the year to, I guess, optically make it look like it matters more. But last time I checked, it still was going to count in RPI the exact same way. But whatever. Okay. So Ole Miss are at Arkansas State tomorrow in Jonesboro, and then LSU Friday, Saturday, Sunday, along with the Morgan Wallen concert again at Zoo in town. Be aware of that here as the week and the weekend plays out. So
how difficult is it going to be for people to get in and out of the stadium on Saturday?
You'll need parking passes. If you've been trying to just park wherever, I think you could have some bigger issues than normal. And I know maybe on the Clutch app the price went up because it's concert game stuff going on. So just be aware of that. Look into it. OleMiss6.com for parking passes, because that, in all seriousness, it could be really a bit of a problem without that. So
I'll answer this real quick. Matt in the stream says, do you think Klay resigns or do you think he leaves? I anticipate that he'll stay with Golden State, but he's going to want to get paid. And all it takes is one team to go, we'll give you the super max deal that nobody else will. And That's it.
Yeah. So podcast tomorrow. Appreciate everybody in the stream and wherever you are listening. Take care. We'll talk to you then.